you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
866-490-3991. 866-490-3991. That's 866-490-3991.
Just 1 week to go to the royal wedding. This tourist from Philadelphia is already there to get a first-hand look at where it'll take place.
It's really exciting. So I'm here with my parents today. They've never been to England. I've been once, but never to Windsor. So it's really exciting to be able to see where the wedding's going to happen and all of that. So it'll be pretty cool.
As many as 100,000 people from around the world were expected to arrive for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's big day. It's being called a once-in-a-generation event. President Trump said yesterday his plan to reduce prescription drug costs includes new tools for Medicare Part D to negotiate with drug companies, free generics to low-income seniors, and pressuring foreign governments to pay more for American drugs. The Secretary of Health and Human Services says the current administration has already gotten results.
In the first year and a half in office, the FDA has approved more generic drugs than ever before in history, saving $8.8 billion in the first year.
But he says it will take years to restructure the program completely. Oprah Winfrey delivers the commencement address at USC's Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism, saying journalists should not meet hysteria with more hysteria.
What I've learned all these years is that we're not supposed to match it or even get locked into resisting or pushing against it. We're supposed to see this moment in time for what it is. We're supposed to see through it and then transcend it. That is how you overcome hysteria.
Winfrey condemned fake news and disinformation. For USA Radio News, I'm Rick Vincent.
Your home is your castle. Whether you need a pro or just great advice, Your Home with Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another edition of Your Home with Alex Guthrie. Thank you for joining me today. Every day is a precious gift, and I appreciate you spending some of your day with me. Always a pleasure having you here. We're on Facebook Live. Go to the search window and key in Your Home with Alex Guthrie or Alex at alexguthrie.net, and you'll arrive at this beautiful place that's got this handsome man. And here we are at the KBDT studios in glorious Dallas, Texas, on a gloriously beautiful day. We have a great show today. I have a very energetic, knowledgeable, wonderful person, Charles Crumpley. He is going to be here. He's with Aztec Renewable Energy. We're going to talk about solar and wind energy and all kinds of stuff. Charles is in the green room getting his hair and makeup done right now, waiting to get here with me. We're also going to talk some remodeling green tips. I'm getting a lot of calls about remodeling projects right now, and a lot of people are asking me about things they can do that will be green and energy efficient and things like that. And so I thought last night, it'd be a good time to just give out talk a little bit this morning about some green tips for remodeling and some things you can do that, green is sort of a personal thing. And a lot of times it's very difficult to do just all green. Green is something that you might do a little bit of, or certain things that you would do like countertops or flooring or things like that. So we're going to go through that list in our first half hour, and then we're going to invite Charles to come in, and we're going to talk solar, and we're going to talk a lot of solar. He knows his stuff. So get your pad and pencil ready and get on Facebook Live if you want, and send in some questions if you have them. You can also go to my website, www.yourhomeshow.net. Check out our schedule of upcoming shows. Check out our you can, when you go to the Facebook Live or our Facebook page, Your Home with Alex Guthrie, you can see all of our past shows that have been on Facebook Live. You can still learn, and you can see our calendar and things that we're going to do and things that we are doing. But first, As with every show, we have our green tip, which is brought to you by Hargrave Foundation Repair. Hargrave Foundation has been in Dallas since 1961. They're sponsors of our show. They're great guys. You'll hear their spot in a little bit. Here's our tip of the day, our green tip of the day. Building or remodeling your home? Consider an induction cooktop over standard electric cooktop for a more energy efficient and convenient cooking experience. Induction cooktops save up to 60% of the lost cooking heat efficiency over natural gas. That amounts to a lost heat in the air. So what that really means is when you are cooking with gas and you feel all that heat coming up around the pan and kind of floating around in the room, that's the lost heat that doesn't really do anything but heat the room up. What induction does, and you have to have a special pan. I cook with induction, and I love induction cooking. And I feel like it's probably a bit more efficient in that all of the energy is going into the pan and into the cooking. It's certainly a little bit more energy efficient than gas, and it's definitely more energy efficient than a regular electric. And up to 45% of escaping heat for electric cooking, and the cooking surface is safer and the stove top surface does not get hot. So that's our green tip for the day. So think about induction. If you're remodeling or you're designing a new kitchen, look into induction. I've looked into kitchens. I've been to some kitchen design stores, and they're mixing induction. They may have a 2 induction burner and a 2 burner gas, and then a larger gas or a larger electric. They'll combine different energy sources for cooking for a really big kitchen where they're doing a lot of cooking. So that's a good way to do that. Think about induction. So as promised, I'm going to talk today about some green tips for remodeling. With all remodeling that we're doing these days, we're trying to implement some green tips. And green and sustainability, in my mind, green and sustainability are kind of go hand in hand. And green can be anything from reusing old flooring and reusing things. And it can also be where you purchase things, and do you purchase local things? So we're going to start with, what do you consider green? And green is different things to different people. And here are a few green points as they relate to houses. I want to start off with air quality, because air quality isn't really considered green. When I bring this up to people, I'll say, hey, air quality, and they'll go, no, green isn't air quality. Well, green affects air quality, because if you use a green product, then you're using something that doesn't have off-gassing, and it does affect the air quality. So it does affect it, although you're not using, air quality is a totally separate deal. But air quality leads to sustainability. Sustainability and green connect, because sustainability has to do with the materials and the techniques that you use. So sustainability and green are related. Sustainability would be where you purchase your materials. For instance, back our great-grandparents would move into an area and they would build a house, and a lot of times they would use materials that were on the property they built the house. You've seen all these beautiful old stone houses that are 100 years old, and they used what they called field stone. And everybody looks at them and they go, boy, that thing's beautiful. They used the stone that was on the property. We called it field stone. Well, that's a sustainable practice, because they didn't haul the stone from the other side of the state or 2 or 3 states away or across the world. So they weren't using fuel, and they weren't using automobiles or whatever to haul the stone. It's a sustainable practice. And that is also a green practice. That all works together. So using local materials is a green practice. So when you're remodeling or you're going to build a home and you want to use green, consider using local products that are at least within a 50 or 100 mile radius of the home you're building. It's not as hard to do as you think. If you just drive around to small towns, you'll find a lot of markets and a lot of people that have small businesses that create things that you can use. There's lots of tile people, there's pottery people, there's small lumber companies, there's all kinds of things that you can do. I'm out in East Texas a lot, and there are small lumber mills out there that cut and mill local trees out there, and you could use some of that or maybe even all of it. And that is a sustainable practice because it's within a couple 100 miles, 100, 200 miles of where you're building. That's one way to do it. If you're needing to cut down an old tree, if a storm comes through and it knocks down a tree and it's a beautiful old oak, this happens a lot. Trees only live so long. And I've done this for homeowners. People will call me up and say, well, we've had this big giant old tree fall down, or we may have to cut down a tree and it just kills them. I don't want to cut that tree down to do this addition or to build this house. Well, one of the things that you can do is and I started doing this to help people feel better about it, but it ends up that it's actually a great practice. And once again, it goes to sustainability, and it goes to sort of the way people did things 100 years ago or longer, or they've really always done things until we started buying everything. We have places around here like the old mills in East Texas and mills other places around where we can take those trees and we can have them cut down and milled and kiln and dried, and we can actually use that material, that wood, to make furniture. We can make mantles. I've had mantles made for clients with that wood from that tree that fell down in their front yard. It can be done, and it really makes that special. It really makes it special inside that house. It gives you a story to tell about that mantle or that piece of furniture, whatever you decide to do with it. And there's craftsmen that can take that wood and make that furniture for you. So there are ways to do things that we would normally think about where we just have to sort of step out of the box and ask some questions and use our imagination, and we can actually use sustainable and green practices that we might not be thinking about. In other words, don't just call the tree guy and say, come cut this thing up and cut it and stack it in my yard. I'm going to burn it. I see this all the time. It drives me crazy. If I see a big giant tree cut up, I swear I look at that thing and I go, wow, that could have been really something special for somebody. Efficiency is another sustainability practice that we need to really think about if you're building a home, and if you want a green home or you want to use sustainable practices. When you are thinking about buying a lot and you want to build a home, one of the most important things that our ancestors taught us is how we orientate a house on a lot. We have prevailing winds in anywhere we are in this country. Any place you live, there's prevailing winds, but particularly where we live, where we relate to the Gulf of Mexico. So our prevailing winds come out of the south in the summertime, most of the year really, and then of course in the winter out of the north. And so you want to orientate your house with that in mind. And so you take advantage of those winds. So you want to take advantage of the southern wind in the wintertime when it's cold, and the north wind in the summertime when it's hot. So when you're shopping for a lot to build a house, you want to find a lot that you can orient. You can set that house on there to take advantage. Easy for me to say. You can take advantage of those winds, and that's going to eliminate a lot of lots. Now, if you are always going to have your windows closed and never open your windows and just run everything on air conditioning, then this isn't going to really matter to you. But I am actually dealing with more and more homeowners that like to have their windows open and they want fresh air, as do I. I love fresh air coming in. And I think it's very important that we do that. This is another sustainable and green practice that we all need to be doing. I think that one of the reasons that we're having a lot of these illnesses, flu, all these things, is because we don't open our windows enough and we keep breathing bad air. We need to breathe fresh air. We need to be getting outside. We need to help ourselves out. We can do that. And we're going to help ourselves out right here by taking a quick break. We're going to listen to a word from our sponsors, our partners in our show. And we'll be right back on the other side of this with some more green tips for when you decide to build your house. You're listening to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. Don't go away. Alex Guthrie here for my friends at Total Air and Heat. Did you know a typical AC unit runs enough hours in a year equal to a car running 60,000 miles? Total Air and Heat recommends that you tune your system and have it safety checked every 6 months to ensure peak efficiency, proper operation, and increase the life of the system. Need a new air conditioning and heating system? No problem. Total Air and Heat can replace your equipment with the best equipment on the market today. Train. And you know it's hard to stop a train. So for the best heating and air conditioning contractors in North Dallas and Plano for the past 60 years, call my friends at Total Air and Heat, 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020. Or visit them online at totalair.com. Total Air and Heat.
1160 AM KBDT proudly presents this historic salute to Grapevine, Texas. Brought to you by the Spice and Tea Exchange at 319 South Main Street. In mid-November of 1845, settlers from Missouri, the Archibald Leonard family, B.J. and Hiram Crowley, Ambrose Foster, and the family of Judge Jacob Moorhead settled near Lonesome Dove. 2 years later, the Lonesome Dove Baptist Church was established south of Judge Moorhead's place near Grapevine.
I'm Nancy McBrayer for the Spice and Tea Exchange. We started in Fort Worth and just really loved the Grapevine area. We wanted to capture the folks that were from Dallas that came to the stockyards and said, oh, this is so far for us. And Grapevine is such a beautiful area. We decided that that was a perfect place for our second location.
Grapevine, Texas, a world festival and event city. Find out more about Grapevine by going to www.grapevinetexas.gov.
I'm Nancy McBrayer for the Spice and Tea Exchange.
Step back in time. Visit historic Grapevine, Texas today.
Some people think the only thing worse than calling the dentist is calling the foundation repairman. That's why I recommend Hargrave Foundation Repair. Cracks in the walls, doors that won't close? Give the folks at Hargrave Foundation a call. Now, sometimes it's not the foundation at all. That's why you need an honest, proven company. You see, understanding the soils and weather is a must for a lifetime repair. Family owned and operated since 1968, Hargrave has seen it all. Hargrave Foundation Repair is fully licensed and insured, and their staff stays up to date on all the latest techniques and advances. So call one of the last independently owned foundation companies in North Texas and the exclusive installer of the Chance helical pier system. Call Hargrave Foundation Repair at 972-442-3415. That's 972-442-3415. Hargrave Foundation Repair, 972-442-3415. Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. We are talking green sustainability, energy efficiency, stuff like that. And we're having a good time. When we left, we were talking about orientating a house properly on a lot. If you're going to build a new home and you want to be green and energy efficient and comfortable, kind of like Grandpa did back before they had air conditioning. That's how I learned all this stuff. I grew up in a house without air conditioning, and I didn't know anything different. And then I got older, we got air conditioning, and we started asking questions. We found out that, those old folks, they knew something. And now we're all trying to get back to it. So do you want to take advantage of building, take advantage of the wind and take advantage of solar and take advantage of what we have with available to us with technology? Then we want to orientate our house properly. We want to use the efficient windows, and then we want to use some green. And green is available to us probably more than ever. So we're going to talk now. I kind of got through that first segment. I wanted to talk, sort of set the baseline for green and sustainability. And now I want to give out some tips about what to do. The green guys will tell you what to do if you say, hey, I'm doing this project and I want to be green. Give me some tips. So here's some of them are. First tip is recycle, and recycle some more. What does that mean? Well, that means if you're tearing something out, it doesn't mean you have to throw everything away. It means that if you're tearing out brick, for instance, maybe you're tearing a wall out, you can always clean that brick and reuse it. If you're tearing out old framing, you can clean nails out of studs and ceiling rafters, and you can reuse that wood. We do it all the time in remodeling, usually because we have to, but sometimes, often, because there's nothing wrong with that material. And honestly, the older the wood, the older those studs are, the better quality they are. The new wood is far, far less quality than the old wood. There's no question about it. Repurpose where possible. Repurposing, you can just simply means we're going to take something that you wouldn't normally think was used for one thing, but we're using it for something else. So we have taken tile, for instance, and we might take a tile and some leftover hardy that we're using to tile a shower. I've done this, and we've made an outdoor table with it for somebody's patio. We've created something with that. We've taken broken tile. I had a client that we had a bunch of broken tile, and we actually tiled a small breakfast room floor with it. It came out looking fantastic. So we didn't throw stuff away. We repurposed it. So there's all kinds of things that you can do. We actually took a 100-something-year-old sink that was it was a little hand sink. It was too small for what people would typically use now in a bathroom. And I used it in another house, in another client's bathroom, because she just thought it was cool. I did that 20 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. I was at her house. She still loves that little sink. And so we repurpose things all the time in remodeling. That is a green practice, and that's also a sustainable practice because we're not throwing things in a landfill, and we're reusing them. So let's use sustainable practices, and let's repurpose things. When we get to electrical, I wanted to mention whole house surge protectors. And this is what I consider really a green practice, and there's a reason for that. I believe that they save electricity. Now, saving electricity, to me, is a green practice because we're not having to generate as much electricity. If we don't have to generate as much electricity, then obviously we're not having to burn fossil fuels. So whole house surge protectors do several things. They protect all of your electronics. So we all have these computers, we have these really delicate TVs, these, 80-inch giant television sets that we have on our walls now, all these electronics tied into them, and we kind of just plug them into the walls. Well, that's kind of dangerous, because if we have a big power surge, those little things will just melt down like marshmallows. A whole house surge protector is a device that they can put in your electric panel in your garage that will actually protect that from happening. That is just like a circuit breaker that's on the house that protects that equipment at the panel. And it does that. And then the other thing it does is when an electric current comes to your house, it comes in a wave. It comes real sporadic because it's coming through these lines. And by the time it gets to your house, it's just kind of squiggly. And when it gets to all of these things that we have, your refrigerator, your lights, everything, it's not running anything efficiently. It's running off this little squiggly line. When it hits that surge protector evens that line out, and it runs to all those little devices on a nice even line, and it makes them run more efficiently. And so that is really how we start saving energy. You will actually save energy by putting one of these on your house. And that, to me, is a way that we're doing a green service to ourselves. We're saving energy. So think about a whole house surge protector. They're not very expensive, and you can have your electrician put it on. Also, of course, there's some obvious things that you can do with electronics, and that is, of course, convert to LED lighting. LED lighting used to be sort of a novelty where we would just do it in one or two rooms and it wasn't a big deal. Well, LED lighting has really come a long way. We can now use it in virtually every light. It now dims. So we used to not be able to dim it. You just put it in and you got the light that you got, and that was that. Well, now we can dim it. We can use it in strips. It's virtually limitless on how we can use LED lighting, and it's actually got a lot of diversity. I've got it in my kayak. I love it. I love LED lighting, and we're going to actually have a show on LED lighting coming up. I'll be announcing that the next week or so. So LED lighting is another green product because we don't have to generate so much electricity because we're saving power. So convert to LED lighting everywhere you can. This is another green remodeling tip. We're going to take a break here in just a few seconds. And when we come back, we're going to continue talking about sustainability and green building. And we're going to have our friend Charles Crumpley join us.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
800-871-3291. 800-871-3291. Again, that's 800-871-3291.
With the introduction of digital TV, it's more important than ever to make the best decisions when disposing of your old electronics and your televisions too. Television and electronic recycling is easy and good for the environment. So if you can't reuse your old TV, then recycle it. Simply drop off your television along with any other electronics at a convenient electronic recycling event. Every first, second, and third Saturday, an event is held in Plano. Find resources and information to learn green, live green, and save a little green, all at the click of a mouse. LiveGreenInPlano.com.
Tonight at the Kansas Speedway, we're ready to go.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
Gloves are off now for the win at Kansas Speedway.
Head to the Heartland.
It's a bare knuckler the rest of the way.
For a Saturday night showdown.
Young Ryan Blaney nearly lost the rear end of it. Here comes Truex to the bottom off two.
The KC Masterpiece 400.
Martin Truex Jr., your new leader.
Saturday night at 7 on the Motor Racing Network.
It's the KC Masterpiece 400 tonight at 7 on 1160 AM KBDT.
We got JD. We got him that time. Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. We're back. We're live. We're cooking. And except that Charles finally got his headset on. Now you hear me? Let me get you right on that microphone. There you go, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome. That's really good. Glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here, Alex.
That's awesome.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We do. So you own Aztec Renewable Energy.
I do.
Yeah. So tell us about what you do and a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, background is deep. When I was a real young man, I got involved in building automation, and I was exposed to technology, digital, analog, different type of controls, control logic, computers, those sort of things. And this was technology that was being fostered by the U.S. Department of Energy after the Clean Air Act of 1977. I'm a young man. I'm like 19, 20 years old. And I'm being hired by the men my age now. I'm 54. So men back in the 80s are they're 50 years old, never seen a computer before, and technology is coming into their world. All right. So they hire the young guys, and I was thrown in front of a computer. It was quite intimidating because it would turn the entire building off. It was so antiquated and old back in those days. But that exposure to the U.S. Department of Energy and the technologies they're fostering, which is wind and solar, brought me to this conversation we're having today.
So that brought you to solar and wind energy.
It did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you just kind of became, that got you interested in the wind and solar industry. And is that when you started in business?
No, I was an advocate for many years because technology hadn't quite been delivered to the market quite yet. It wasn't at a good price point. It was still emerging technology. The driving point that really got my attention was some of the curriculum I had to take for indoor and outdoor air quality. Was indoor and outdoor air quality. I couldn't modify environments with energy management systems without understanding what the impacts were on the people that were in those environments I was modifying. So I had to learn more about why I was how to make modifications without impacting somebody's health.
Mm-hmm. So solar and Texas and renewable energy has had I wouldn't say it was a love-hate relationship. I would say a hate relationship with the state, not the people.
Correct.
I would say the industry.
I would say you're correct.
I would say that the oil industry has never particularly been friendly to the renewable industry for understandable reasons because, hey, that's our bread and butter.
Yes.
Right?
It is.
Okay.
But, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So it's been kind of like, it's not like just pulling teeth to get the solar industry some love and respect around here. It's like pulling teeth, fingernails, toenails, cutting a couple hands off. It's been tough.
It has. So as a pioneer, right? So the pioneer, if you're introducing new technology into existing markets, so we're in a hydrocarbon market, right? So we have natural gas, we have petroleum, we have tons of energy from what we excavate out of the earth. And so we've waited millions of years for this to turn into energy we can harvest, right? And we've been doing it for so long. So we have a grid with an abundance of energy that's being generated from hydrocarbons, right? And so
fossil fuels.
And these fossil fuels have horrible gases and poisons they emit into the air. And as society, we just kind of, well, it brings quality to my life.
Hear no evil, see no evil.
Correct. Exactly.
But we're breathing the evil.
Every time anybody takes a breath in the state of Texas or anywhere in the United States or anywhere in a hydrocarbon industry, you are breathing those horrible gases. They create horrible diseases. Asthma, cancer is plagued our country, everywhere in the world. Wherever you have these hydrocarbon gases, we have cancer. So that was my motivation, actually, when I learned about indoor and outdoor air quality. I'm already a technology enthusiast. I love technology. But and I was happy in the world of computers and networks, that's in programming. I'm a programmer. But when I learned about indoor and outdoor air quality and the effects on humans and people, for example, formaldehyde in carpet. Now we've gotten rid of that, but it required awareness, right, for the carpet industry to remove these dangerous chemicals that we're putting our babies on, let them crawl on. It took awareness for us to have that removed.
Well, and that's been in our industry, in particular, in my industry, construction has just been an ongoing evolution ever since we quit just using wood and steel nails. Ever since we industrialized it, that's always been the case and always will be, I assume. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. Let's step back here for a minute and let's explain. Now, you're primarily advocating solar energy at this point, correct?
I'm advocating clean air and clean water through renewable energy and through solar.
Through solar.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk about what is a solar panel.
Sure.
I don't know if people really understand, how's a solar panel made? What is it?
Okay, sure. So we've been kind of playing with polycrystalline and monocrystalline. These are cell technology that we've been probably known about since the late 50s, early 60s. NASA, was the first really to advance technology. And then utilizing partners around the world, it's become a product in a market. But basically, it's a polycrystalline or monocrystalline cell that converts I always get that one, I think it's a photon. Yeah, it's a photon of electricity into an electron, right? And then if we connect enough of these together, we have enough power.
Okay, I just totally don't have a clue what you just told me. It's a piece of glass on the roof and it makes electricity.
That's right.
So what's in the glass? Just something.
Yeah,
there's something in the glass.
It's silicon.
Okay.
It's the same thing we use to build our computers.
Okay,
it's silicon. It's a silicon wafer.
All right.
All right. There it is.
I mean, I'm a simple guy.
Right.
Okay, you are a technical guy.
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
You can go as deep as you want.
No, you went way past me,
okay.
Dr. Charles. Okay, I'm sorry. I walked you right into that, and
I'll try to keep it on the surface.
Okay, so on a typical solar panels, how big did I see on a roof? What's the size of one of those things?
So they've kind of
is there a typical size?
There are. So they used to be 72 inches by 39 inches in width, 72 cell panels. And today we have 60 cell panels, which are around 65.5 inches in length and around 39 inches in width, producing the same power that we produced just 3 years ago.
So they're getting
smaller. Panels. They're smaller and more efficient. Yes.
Smaller and more efficient. So how much does one of those panels produce in energy?
Well, I don't sell just one panel.
Okay, so a kilowatt is what we're trying to get to, a certain amount of kilowatts, right?
So the average 3,000 square foot home consumes around 1,700 kilowatt hours per month if it's built energy efficient. Okay. So we're typically trying to go for around, if for zero electric bill, it all depends who your power company is. So if you are on the retail grid, I can dial you to zero. If you're on a cooperative, I got to dial you to around 80 to 90% because they do what's called net metering and they don't give you full credit. Okay. Okay. So we can talk about that, but on a roof, I'm usually trying to cover your roof around 650 square feet of panels facing south. Maybe if I have to go east and west, I'm going to increase that by 200 feet of panels because I have less energy I'm collecting on east and west. But I can dial you depending on where you're at, who your power company is, to zero or near zero.
So you have to work with the power company and kind of do a little dance with them. And do they have just do they have a requirement, right? And then do you get to negotiate with them or
no?
So what if a couple of your panels happen to be, what if your guy accidentally miscounts and he puts a couple extra panels up there and you get a little extra electric and that meter runs maybe backwards a little bit accidentally?
Well, that's only going to be to your detriment if you're in the cooperative. Okay, it's not going to affect the cooperative as much as it's going to affect you. What we have to do is make sure that you're getting 100% retail value for the energy we produce, so you have a really good return on investment and a really good rate of return. Okay. So when I start giving free power away, if I put in 10 extra panels, well, those 10 extra panels didn't earn you a good rate of return.
It gave it to them.
It just free power to the power company.
Right.
For cooperatives.
Right.
Now, retail's different. I get you full retail credit with a retail company.
Okay. And will they let you, or can they not? Can they stop you from that?
No. There are companies out there. I'm not going to promote any of these companies, but there are several retail power companies that will give you full credit for this energy. There is federal incentives for power companies to make this available to you. All power companies, as a matter of fact, need to have renewable energy guidelines. They have to make up to, I think, 20% of the energy from renewables, and whether they put in their own solar farm or if they allow you to make your own investment.
Now, speaking of solar farms, I actually have that in my questions.
Okay.
Texas has its own power grid, I guess.
We do.
Right?
We do.
So we've got our own kind of independent power grid, if I understand it right.
And we also export power to California and other states. Yes.
I know. I like that.
I don't know if I do.
Well,
but okay. Only because it's hydrocarbons.
They don't like it.
Right.
Anyway, does our power grid, is that Encore? Who owns that?
Oh, there's several. There's 5 major retail power lines. Encore owns this area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have solar power farms? Is that solar farms for those, or is it just all hydrocarbon?
No, they do. This is in the last 2 years, prices have dropped significantly, and solar farms are really leveraging those prices. So they are going up pretty quick in the last 2 years. There's a solar farm under construction every day of the week right now.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how much land does that take to generate that kind of power? I mean, I know we've got the sun, we've got the arid areas in our state.
Yes. Well, I'm using around 600 to 700 square feet to produce an average of 1,700 kilowatt hours a month.
So what is considered a solar farm? Can that just be a small plant on your property, or are we talking about a solar farm being something that would produce for a larger geographic?
Yes, solar farms is going to be maybe 10 acres of solar panels,
and that would produce for a city, a town, maybe?
A city, a town, yes. So when it goes to the grid, when it hits Encore grid, it goes everywhere. Okay. So and then if you buy,
it just feeds into
feeds in the grid.
I got it.
Yeah, and they have to manage that. By the way, they have to manage the grid.
Mm-hmm.
So the sun is very predictable, and so the coal plant and the natural gas plant can throttle back and allow these renewables into the grid. That requires ERCOT to manage all this transmission and distribution of power. Wind turbines are a little less predictable, and it is a challenge getting all of the potential energy we're collecting.
Especially starting June when the wind quits blowing around here. Usually,
Yes.
I mean, I only know because I'm a fisherman.
Yeah, but West Texas is a little different.
Well, probably.
It's 18 miles an hour out there.
It's hot wind.
It is hot.
Yeah, it's solar winds. That's right. So the big question that people have with solar in the cities is that we are getting just pounded daily, just inundated with these little independent guys coming around, leaving flyers on our doors and, kicking the doors, and everybody's got their own little, I guess is it unregulated now? Can anybody tell you they're a solar?
No, it's an industry of bandits and pirates right now.
Well, you're not kidding.
It's crazy. So the Texas Department of Licensing requires, this is a law, state law. So if you pick up a piece of paper off your front door, first thing you want to look for is a TDL license number. That's the law. If they're advertising electrical equipment, the law says you have to have your license on that advertisement, on your business card, on your contract, and on your flyer, on your trucks. 60% of the market today does not follow the law. I filed in 2015 over 30 complaints a month with Texas Department of Licensing from Google advertisers, from Google advertisers and door knockers, telemarketing companies, and it's a big mess.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a big mess in my front yard when the wind blows, because all those little flyers are all in the yard. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to kind of talk about really what a solar panel system is. Kind of how does it work? How does it fit on the roof, tie together? What is a converter? Do you have to have batteries? Do you have to store the energy? How does that stuff work? We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. J.D. Wells is spinning his head. I think he's possessed. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go away. So what does a garage door do besides enhance your home, protect your family, and secure your vehicles? Well, when you contact the pros at Windsor Door, you'll learn how a truly high-quality garage door company can make a difference. Insulated doors, carriage-style doors, steel and custom wood, Windsor Door has them all and much, much more. And nothing makes a garage door work better than a high-quality opener. That's why the folks at Windsor Door only use LiftMaster garage door openers. And it's no wonder LiftMaster is the #1 professionally installed garage door opener. Only LiftMaster has patented MyQ technology, which alerts you if you forget to close your garage door and lets you close it from anywhere, anytime with built-in Wi-Fi technology. It also has battery backup, so you can get in even when the power's out. So contact a Windsor Door dealer near you at windsordor.com.
1160 AM KBDT proudly presents this historic salute to Grapevine, Texas. Brought to you by Grapevine Antique Market. In 1866, the Grapevine Masonic Lodge is organized. J.W. Dunn is the first worshipful master. In 1867, they decide to build a school. Pine lumber is hauled by ox teams over 150 miles from the mills in East Texas. School begins in September of 1869. Colonel W.P. Bishop is principal. The school remains open until 1886.
Hi, I'm Brandon Cantrell with Grapevine Antique Market. We sell vintage items, antiques, and a lot of current decorative items. Very cool. My husband lived here when I got married 33 years ago. It's a small town feeling, although it's not that small anymore. I've just gotten to know Grapevine, and I have lots of friends here, and I like it.
Grapevine, Texas, a world festival and event city. Find out more about Grapevine by going to www.grapevinetexas.gov. Step back in time. Visit historic Grapevine, Texas today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm 75 years old, and I don't eat enough vegetables or fruit. And this is a great thing to do. And it seems that I have more energy. It seems that I take that, and I take a lot of blood pressure pills and what do you call it, cholesterol. But my doctor tells me, he said, no, you might cut the dosage down on your pills because what are you taking? I said, Balance of Nature. He said he didn't know what it was. So I told him, I said, it's fruits and vegetables condensed into little pill form. He goes, well, whatever it is, it's doing you a lot of good.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code USA.
Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. Hey, we're going to take a real fast little community corner break here. I had a quick announcement I need to do. For next weekend is the citywide community cleanup in Dallas, May 19th, 2018. Residents, neighborhood associations, city civic organizations, faith-based and crime watch groups, schools, businesses are invited. Register, call 311 or email dallas311@dallascityhall.com. For more information, visit bit.ly, if I'm seeing that correctly without my glasses, /Dallas SOPB. This is a citywide cleanup. I thought it was worthy of a mention because, by golly, we need it, because I know what I'm seeing when I drive around. Sorry to interrupt us there. We have a few minutes before we go to the top of the hour, and I'm here with Charles Crumpley and with Aztec Renewables. And when we left, we're just kind of talking about I'd mentioned some battery. Now, I have a friend that has a house that's off-grid, and he got into solar, and he did a combination of solar and wind. And boy, is that complicated.
True pioneer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the battery storage system is really wicked. I mean, this is a few years ago, so it's just like giant car batteries.
Yeah,
it's ugly.
Lead acid.
Boy, I'm telling you,
batteries.
It's like a big. It's like no smoking for
exactly
a mile radius.
In fact, I heard about a community that had golf carts. Everybody was charging golf carts in their homes. Fire alarm or smoke detectors were going off, and the fire department couldn't figure out what it was. Ended up being hydrogen gas smoke detectors with that picked up carbon dioxide. Actually misinterpreted hydrogen gas, which is explosive, as a potential carbon monoxide. So
yeah, I mean it's now. A lot of that has come a long way.
It has. We've gone to lithium, so we've gotten rid of that little problem.
Lithium batteries are some pretty amazing things, and I know they're in everything now. I mean, you can get a little flashlight that'll just go forever, and it's those little lithium batteries.
Yes,
and they're powerful.
They are. We had some huge advancements in lithium battery technology about 4 or 5 years ago, which is really going to change the world. I think we're 2 years away from really finding out who the winners are. A lot of investment dollars, as you know, major corporations are going into battery technology. But the lithium platform has got several chemistries. With any battery, there's different types of chemistries, but lithium has several. And then the use of these batteries also, I think the next major play in our market is getting rid of AC inductive motors out of our homes, okay? And start getting DC motors to replace the garbage disposal, replace the air conditioning. The air conditioning's already made those moves, by the way. They have DC motors now, variable speed. But as we get to DC motors in our homes, now the off-grid is really going to work.
So explain the difference in the motors. So what does that mean to the average person?
Sure. So there's an AC inductive motor. It's designed to work with the grid, okay? It requires a great deal of energy. It's called kVAR, a big rush of power to get the thing started.
Kind of like a big crank up.
big crank up, big shot in the arm to get it moving.
Mm-hmm.
And now the grid has that for you. It's called this conductive, reactive, and resistant power. And I always say those words a little bit wrong because I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm an enthusiast of the technology. I think it's conductive or anyway, I'm pretty close.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is, right.
Whatever it is, if you grab the wire, you know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
For about a second before you're dead.
Well, conductive is like electrons flowing in and out. It's an in and out trade-off, with the grid. So that energy is coming back to the grid. It's going through your motor and then going back to the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to do special rates to calculate that because you're actually giving that power right back. You paid for it. It came to you. But in the rate schedule, that's how they calculate it. They figured you're going to have 30% of your consumption or 60% of your consumption from inductive loads. Well, battery systems don't work that way. They work totally different. It's direct current, right? And they don't want the power back. They're going to send it to you and you need to use that stuff. And and they don't require that huge inrush of power.
So the new motors don't take that big rush of power.
Correct.
Are they going to be as powerful?
Well, they are. They are. But the biggest challenge we have with those powerful AC motors and DC is just as powerful. Horsepower is horsepower. Okay. 5 horsepower DC, 5 horsepower AC does the same work. It's just how the electricity is delivered and how it's used.
I see.
Okay. Now, an AC motor on a battery, if your battery is at 50% charge and you need a big jump start to get it to go, right? You're going to go way below the depletion of that battery and you're going to damage it.
I see.
Okay. So that's what's dangerous about the AC motor with the battery technology. But we're just like 2 years away. I think if we had federal, state and city that would create incentives to get us away from these grid power motors. Our industry is, everything's grid power, right? If we can move away from that and get to DC, it's going to change the world.
Essentially, technology is just still really, really at the forefront of all of this. I mean, we're still just moving light years. Everything, it's like it never sits still. We're going to take a break here and let our partners introduce themselves to our audience. You're listening to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. Don't go away.
Your home is your castle. Whether you need a pro or just great advice, Your Home with Alex Guthrie.
Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. We're back for another hour of fun and frolicking, but unfortunately not on the beach.
Oh, Alex.
You've got to,
I'm getting to know you
but
today.
I am. I told my wife that after the show I was going to.
I don't normally interrupt, but
it was the beach thing, right?
There's something I got to say here. I know I'm the only one not on camera, okay? But just suffice it to say that people that are watching us on Facebook, okay, I fit with this set of masculine entities that you are currently listening to. In other words,
frolicking.
We don't frolic. Okay, we don't gallivant. We don't frolic.
We're frolicking.
Okay, we don't traipse.
It was metaphoric.
We don't do these things. What was the metaphor for?
I'm in my mind.
I'm trying to
in my mind. I'm frolicking.
I don't want to know anything that's going on.
Do you want to hear some more details?
I want to hear more details about the batteries.
I can share these texts my wife is sending to me right now. It's all like emojis, heart emojis. I mean, I can't read this.
No, you can't put that.
I can't read this on the
I didn't even know they had an
pictures.
emoji.
No pictures.
I didn't know they had an emoji for that. Go ahead. I want to hear about solar power. Thank you.
Thank you, JD Wells.
Thanks, JD.
That was another JD Wells report. So let's spend a minute. We'll start this segment off with, let's talk a little bit about wind power.
Okay.
Because wind power is huge in West Texas. But we're talking about, you corrected me earlier because I don't really know a ton about wind. Here's what I know about wind power. I went to college out in Alpine, Texas, out at Sul Ross University. Not for long. I was frolicking a little too much out there, but I had fun. I know that.
I bet you
and
did.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I loved it because when I drive out there, I would see the beautiful plateaus and the mountains, and it was wonderful. And now when I drive out there, I see wind turbines.
Now, are these the big giant
The
wind
big
turbines?
giant ones.
Yes.
The big giant ones. And I just don't really like seeing them so much. So that's all I know about wind turbines is I think they're kind of ugly.
Well, it's a matter of perspective, right?
It's perspective. That's right.
I think it's a beautiful machine.
I bet you do.
I do. I love it. I love it. Wind turbines. Now, there are several classes, right? There's residential class, there's commercial class, and then utility class wind turbines. The commercial and residential are hit and miss, but utility grade wind turbines, because they're up 300 feet in the air, the blades, the swept area. So it's kind of like a sail on the ship. They're big.
300 feet tall.
Yes, 300 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, the blades are 124 feet in length, right? So like 250 feet in diameter. That's a big, huge sail, picks up a lot of wind. The technology in these things are incredible. They have mechanical yaws, so they turn in and out of the wind. They have computers that are connected to anemometers that are measuring wind speed, direction. They're also communicating across a network of other wind turbines, seeing what's coming towards them, so they can position themselves into the wind. They have mechanical or pneumatic blades that pitch in and out, so they can increase their power.
So they're not just dummies sitting there waiting on a breeze.
Not a wind.
They're like robots.
Not a windmill. Yes, a windmill just sits there and takes wherever the wind blows at it until it falls apart.
Now, see, I did not know all this stuff.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know they were like big robots.
Big robots. They're incredible. And they can produce, they can provide power for, and it's been a long time. I designed a wind farm, one of the first projects I did, before you could even get product. It was GE couldn't produce utility grade wind turbines for 3 years when we did our design. But and the prices have dropped tremendously since I did my design. But I believe, and I'm reaching back maybe 15 years. One wind turbine would provide power for 3,000 homes. I believe
one turbine.
I believe so, because there's like 3.4 megawatt wind turbines.
So the big first challenge with wind turbines was actually getting the energy to the grid.
True.
That was the first big challenge.
True.
How do we? It's great. We can make it. But
a lot of public
how do we get it there?
A lot of public money is spent
Uh-huh.
getting power from wind turbines back to Dallas.
Uh-huh.
So is it a bad thing? I think it was a great investment. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was a great investment for public dollars to capture wind. Wind has got to be found at geographic locations. And this is what I learned about residential wind. Residential wind turbines come out with electronic stall regulation and different designs, blade designs, and so forth. Went through national renewable energy testing and claimed that or advertised that their products would produce 60% of the power requirements for a home with wind speeds of 10 miles per hour. Well, miles per hour is just one of the conditions of wind. Okay, turbulence is another. Right, microburst is yet another condition of wind.
So the assumption of someone like me would be, the harder it blows, the better.
Right, I got tons of wind. I get people calling.
I got a microburst, man.
Yeah,
let's turn everything on.
I live on a hill. I got more wind than you could ever imagine.
Let's have the neighbors bring their extension cords over. We got it going, baby.
Exactly. But what happens? There's a lot of these residential wind turbines that are spinning because the wind's blowing, but the electronics are not allowing the power to export.
It can only take so much.
It won't even export it because it's turbulent wind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, if it's slapping you in the back of your head, front of your, if the wind's coming from all directions,
I see.
You can't produce the Westinghouse standard of a constant flow of energy because it's turbulent wind. And so even though it turns, it's not exporting power because the wind quality. So when you get 300 feet in the air, you have lambdas. The word is lambda flow of energy. You can capture that. You can utilize it. And also, when you're at 3.4 megawatts utility grade, you can afford the controls to manipulate your turbine so you can maximize your energy output to the wind conditions. So there's many different pieces of what a wind condition is.
So can a wind turbine farm, I guess you would call them, where there's, I don't know, how many of them do they put out there?
The minimum that any investor should look at is a 5 wind utility grade wind turbine investment. They make good.
Can that
economic
replace
sense.
a fossil burning coal plant?
Well, no. Now here, yes and no. Let me answer this question. Energy storage is our next move for renewables.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
That's our next move. We're working on battery technologies, and I don't know if you can tell I'm a technical person, but I quickly grasped, because I went to school like everybody else, and I learned about hydrogen, right? Electrolysis. We all did those little experiments in high school. I'm like, why aren't we just storing hydrogen gas, for heaven's sakes, with wind turbines that are not being utilized? And so I've been throwing that out there like for 6 years. Well, if it's sitting idle because it can't get onto the grid because the coal plant's operating, why isn't it making hydrogen gas for us? Why isn't it doing that? And that's been a question I've been asking for 6 years. Germany, I think, heard the question, and they're working on that. So I think our next energy storage platform for renewables that aren't getting fully utilized are sitting out there having.
I don't understand what you're saying. I mean, I'm
energy storage.
Anybody that's watching on Facebook Live, please send me a note and tell me what Charles Crumpley just told me. It's about hydrogen. I thought they made bombs out of that. What are you talking about?
Well, okay. So gasoline in your car, right? Listen, gasoline.
I'm joking with you.
When you burn gasoline, what you're really burning is hydrogen.
Right.
That's the energy in gas. Everything else that comes out your exhaust pipe is the byproducts of pollution that you don't really need. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. We're all burning hydrogen. It's a hydrocarbon market. Hydrogen. It's all hydrogen.
Right.
But it comes in different forms. And the purest form, obviously, is hydrogen gas. Clean. 100% clean. Volatile? Yes. Right. Don't recommend having a hydrogen plant in a residential backyard.
Just in case.
Nowhere near your home. But you should have a hydrogen plant, a power plant 300 miles away from everybody that's taking that wind energy and creating hydrogen and then burning that hydrogen gas in our current natural gas generators. So we could be burning liquid hydrogen and provide power 24/7. So when we start producing hydrogen and maximizing all the potential wind energy we're losing because of the grid management, and we start storing energy, we'll have 24-hour power.
Do you see a day when we start producing clean energy like that and we're burning it in our homes clean, efficiently?
Yes, we are going to be fully electrified. You won't need natural gas.
You won't need to burn a flame.
You won't need to burn a flame. We'll be all electric. Our cars are going to be electric. And we just made huge advancements with electric cars. They used to be $100,000. I'm not going to name names, but we've got 6 or 7 manufacturers coming out this year with electric cars. And for the first time, they're hitting mainstream buyers at $35,000, $45,000.
That's been a long challenge too.
It is.
I mean,
It
it's
has.
not been easy for those guys.
Absolutely.
I hope they do well.
I do too.
I hope it works.
It's going to.
Yeah.
It's going to.
Because I if you commute, but I mean, part of this, it's a big picture thing in my mind, because in a city like Dallas, in cities that were built in the 50s and 60s, were built around commuting with automobiles. So it was built to drive on a highway where you would sit and burn gasoline and you could drive 20 miles or whatever it was.
I remember choking in the back seat of my mom's car.
That's
Yes,
right.
remember that.
That's right. And did she smoke cigarettes like mom?
She did.
Chain smoked those L&Ms and
No exhaust filter, nothing. I mean, the cars are just blowing stuff out there, killing everybody.
And so they built this city. So there was no way you could have an electric car or anything like that because you were driving too far from point A to point B. But as our cities as we're growing up and we're having mass transit, this is my point. When you combine mass transit, you combine a storage system for electric where we can actually do these things, and then a clean burning fuel like hydrogen. 30 years, you thinking 30 years, 40 years, maybe another generation?
Okay.
Or are we closer than that?
No, we're closer than that. So it really depends. Now, here's the thing. We have technology here today. It's here today, and it's all around us. So now it's really a matter of what is the incentive for the current consumers to buy these products. And that's what it really is. It's market. What is the incentives? So the federal government has a 30% federal tax credit for wind, solar, and batteries. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. They get a tax credit of maybe $6,000 for making a purchase with these products. Utilities. Now, utilities also have incentives, but they really like mucking up the water by poorly managing these programs, causing disruption in the market. That needs to be moved to a state program where the state needs to be it needs to be straightened out too. There's a lot of problems in the state, but we need a state program, and we need a larger bucket that the utilities can pull from, and we can properly distribute utility incentives and make that better managed. Now, on the state level, we have problems there. I'm going to tell you, we were talking earlier about these door knockers. You want to go into this?
What I want to talk about real quick, because we're going to take a break here in about 30 seconds. We're dealing with a lot of different entities in this energy market, a lot of interest, a lot of money.
Yes, a lot of money.
And so when we're talking about making these changes, we're getting into people's pocketbooks.
We are, and we have to be really careful because a lot of manufacturers are on a cutting edge, and they always push their products to market way too fast. And a lot of the consumers, many consumers get damaged by that. So proper certification like UL, TUV certifications is imperative, and working with licensed local contractors that are verifying these certifications is crucial to the consumer.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about door knockers. And I don't mean the kind that's on the door. I mean the kind that's in front of the door, the people making you crazy at dinner time. I'm here with my good friend, Charles Crumpley, and we're talking all things energy related, solar, wind, you name it. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Alex Guthrie here for my friends at Total Air and Heat. Did you know a typical AC unit runs enough hours in a year equal to a car running 60,000 miles? Total Air and Heat recommends that you tune your system and have it safety checked every 6 months to ensure peak efficiency, proper operation, and increase the life of the system. Need a new air conditioning and heating system? No problem. Total Air and Heat can replace your equipment with the best equipment on the market today. Train. And you know it's hard to stop a train. So for the best heating and air conditioning contractors in North Dallas and Plano for the past 60 years, call my friends at Total Air and Heat, 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020. Or visit them online at totalair.com. Total Air and Heat.
1160 AM KBDT proudly presents this historic salute to Grapevine, Texas. Brought to you by Underwood Boot Company, 530 South Main Street. 1854 saw Grapevine's first genuine civic controversy. The postal route was being established. The town needed an official name. Leonard was considered, named after A.F. Leonard, who served as the postmaster, justice of the peace, and the county representative in the 12th Texas legislature. When Judge Moorhead was asked, he said, Grapevine would be a good name for our town. And it still is.
I'm Anthony Underwood Boot Company. We got a lot of tourists, a lot of local business, a lot of foot traffic. Boots are custom. They're top notch. We make everything here. Jose, my bootmaker's been doing it over 50 years. We put out a very high quality product.
Grapevine, Texas, a world festival and event city. Find out more about Grapevine by going to www.grapevinetexas.gov.
With this salute to historic Grapevine, I'm Anthony Underwood Boot Company.
Step back in time. Visit historic Grapevine, Texas today.
Some people think the only thing worse than calling the dentist is calling the foundation repairman. That's why I recommend Hargrave Foundation Repair. Cracks in the walls? Doors that won't close? Give the folks at Hargrave Foundation a call. Now, sometimes it's not the foundation at all. That's why you need an honest, proven company. You see, understanding the soils and weather is a must for a lifetime repair. Family owned and operated since 1968, Hargrave has seen it all. Hargrave Foundation Repair is fully licensed and insured, and their staff stays up to date on all the latest techniques and advances. So call one of the last independently owned foundation companies in North Texas and the exclusive installer of the Chance helical pier system. Call Hargrave Foundation Repair at 972-442-3415. That's 972-442-3415. Hargrave Foundation Repair, 972-442-3415. Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. I'm here with Charles Crumpley. We're talking solar. He's trying to get his head together here.
I got it screwed back on tight. I'm good. Quit it, JD. I'm fine.
It's okay. His head's getting a little big, and they don't fit quite the same they did before the break.
My wife warned me about that before I got on the radio. I didn't listen.
She didn't know you were going to be a movie star. So door knockers are and solar seem to go together like, peanut butter and jelly.
Yes. So, thank you, JD. I got it. All right. Thank you. Thanks, JD. Appreciate that.
Call it Mama Hen.
All right. So Google really kind of got all this going by just allowing everybody. If you fill out an online form, if you type in the word solar panel, solar power, prepare yourself, hold on tight. Everybody's going to call you from the entire United States that's in the solar industry.
Right.
We're all going to call you. That's horrible. And then the next thing was, now door knockers. This has happened the last couple of years, and it's more of a traditional marketing plan for most companies. Like if you're in pest control, you want to go out there and let people know you do pest control in that area, that makes sense. But solar to me is like a huge investment. You're spending, $18,000 to $40,000 is like kind of buying a car. I mean, you ever seen a door knocker? Somebody trying to sell a car to you from door knocking?
No, but some of them will tell you they're giving one away.
Right. So huge investment, and consumers need time to really make an educated decision, right? You cannot make an impulse decision with such a big investment. So often these door knockers, one, are annoying, and then two, they get the lash back from somebody who made an emotional decision versus an educated decision. So I don't think that's a really good business model for solar. It is being effective. We are getting the industry, not my company. I would never do that, but the industry is getting more solar panels installed, right? But I think a lot of these companies that are doing this are losing, risking their reputation.
Well, solar's got. I mean, it's difficult. It's got to be a difficult industry to be in because it's driven from overseas. A lot of it, the product is.
It is.
It's a China-driven product, right? Well, it used to be.
Yeah. So China made a big. China did a huge thing for the renewable energy
by building cheap panels or affordable. Let's say affordable.
Affordable. Yeah. So before I jumped in both feet, we had U.S. companies going out of business. Many technology platforms in solar, right? There's thin cell, there's monocrystalline, polycrystalline. There's just a whole bunch of different ways to get solar, a electron to be pushed out of a piece of material. And the U.S. Department of Energy providing funding for this research and development, mostly in these universities and local, in the United States, really is what fostered and got those technologies out into the market. But then they found out when they put it into the market, they really weren't viable. So that was the market before. China looked down and said, oh, well, this is the UL standard for that. This is the CU standard for this, the TUV standard for that. And for these manufacturing standards are working really well. So they picked all the cream and said, we're going to do this. And they standardized, they plowed the fields. They spent $7 billion.
The Chinese.
$7 billion reinventing the manufacturing processes for solar panels. All right. Now, the rest of the world caught up. It took them about 4 years for the rest of the world to catch up on these standards. So we've always had great manufacturers from Germany. We have China's, they have really quality control issues. They're ocean away from us. Their ethics or their business ethics are much different than ours. Dealing with China is kind of hit and miss.
Right.
It's a hit and miss thing. You can get a whole container of bad product from these people, and what are you going to do? You speak Chinese? Are you going to fly over there? You've
already paid for it.
Are you going to sue them?
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
So, but they really are. It's kind of like a double-edged sword with China. They've got some tier 1 manufacturers, and tier 1 just means capacity.
But they drive your market.
They do.
They drive the pricing of the market one way or another.
They do.
Right?
They do.
So you either have the government step in and subsidize your market, which they tried to do, and I'm not really sure how that went. You'd have to tell me because I can't tell how that went. I just know some people went out of business, but I don't know if that means everybody was affected. I have no idea. But I know at the end of the day, as seems to be the case over a long period of time in lots of different industries, the Chinese kind of came in and brought in their products. We let them in to bring in their products. And I'm not judging that, good or bad.
1977 Clean Air Act caused all that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so good or bad, whatever it is what it is. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I don't know where we are. I can't tell where we are. And from the consumer standpoint, I don't know if it really matters. They want to get the product on their roof. I don't think if someone wants solar cells on their roof, solar panels, they don't go, gee, I wonder if I'm getting Chinese or U.S. products. I just want the best price.
Right, best price. So that's important because in the last 3 years, I've dealt with competitors that would tell consumers, made in the USA, made in the USA. When you flip the panel over, there is no made in the USA sticker on it. Okay, that's crazy. If they were licensed electrical contractors in the state of Texas, they would lose their license. But now we got back to that licensing thing and who's in our market. If you're talking to somebody, if you see a brochure, if you have a door knocker, and if they don't have their license on their truck, their business card, that means that they can tell you anything they want without the risk of losing their license.
Because they don't have one.
Because they don't have one. That's exactly right. Yeah. So
it's kind of like you can have all my money because I don't have any. Go ahead and take it all, baby.
Right. So, but back to product. A licensed electrical contractor, right? We have to report to our insurance company which products we are selling. I carry $3 million of product liability insurance, so it doesn't really matter what I sell you, okay? Because irregardless of where the origins of that where the manufacturer was, irregardless of that if that country goes into civil war or whatever the case is, my $3 million of product liability insurance covers the warranty for 25 years, 25 or 30 years, depending on what the performance guarantee is. So it's covered. Well, my insurance company does their due diligence on the products I'm selling. They do that because I'm a licensed electrical contractor required to carry that type of insurance.
And they're protecting their investment.
They are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
So when a homeowner has this installed, let's back up a little bit and kind of go through the we're going to take a break here in a minute, and then we're going to come back and we're going to go through sort of the installation process, because I think it's important to people to understand that when they have one of these systems installed on their house, what are they potentially getting into really on the downside? I mean, can you kind of get into a disaster with it? And what should you look for? And what should you ask the person installing it? I mean, they're getting up on your roof. They're making holes in your roof. They're putting this thing on there. They're having to tie into your electrical panel. They're having to put a converter on there. What does all that mean? And what do they need to know? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more about solar panels with my friend Charles Crumpley with Aztec
Renewable Energy.
Energy. So what does a garage door do besides enhance your home, protect your family, and secure your vehicles? Well, when you contact the pros at Windsor Door, you'll learn how a truly high-quality garage door company can make a difference. Insulated doors, carriage-style doors, steel and custom wood, Windsor Door has them all and much, much more. And nothing makes a garage door work better than a high-quality opener. That's why the folks at Windsor Door only use LiftMaster garage door openers. And it's no wonder LiftMaster is the #1 professionally installed garage door opener. Only LiftMaster has patented MyQ technology, which alerts you if you forget to close your garage door and lets you close it from anywhere, anytime with built-in Wi-Fi technology. It also has battery backup, so you can get in even when the power's out. So contact a Windsor Door dealer near you at windsordor.com.
You have to sell your gorgeous but suddenly unaffordable house. Now, who will buy it? These guys buy. You have to sell your mom and dad's old rundown house. Now, who will buy it? These guys buy. You have to sell your crazy Aunt Zelda's house. You know, the one with all the cats. These guys buy. Taj Mahal? These guys buy. Old musty dump? These guys buy. Just plain ugly? These guys buy. Sell your property now. As is. No fees, no repairs, no waiting. TheseGuysBuy.com. TheseGuysBuy.com. TheseGuysBuy.com.
Tonight at the Kansas Speedway, we're ready to go.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
Gloves are off now for the win at Kansas Speedway.
Head to the Heartland.
It's a bare knuckler the rest of the way.
For a Saturday night showdown.
Young Ryan Blaney nearly lost the rear end of it. Here comes Truex to the bottom off 2.
The KC Masterpiece 400.
Martin Truex Jr., your new leader.
Saturday night at 7 on the Motor Racing Network.
It's the KC Masterpiece 400 tonight at 7 on 1160 AM KBDT.
Whatever you want to do.
We're back. Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. I'm back with Charles Crumpley with Aztec Renewable Energy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm getting
Hey,
better.
JD, is the mic okay? I got it in the right place?
Yeah. Oh, boy. We're going to spend a few minutes. We're going to talk about what happens when someone calls you or one of your competitors and says, I'm ready to go.
Yes.
Put that baby on my roof.
Yeah.
And you've got to put some sort of a system up there that's going to hold these panels.
Yes.
And then you've got to put some sort of wiring on there because that energy's got to get down to something to get to the homeowner's electrical panel to get into the house to do what it does.
Sure.
So kind of explain how that works.
I can. So can I back it up just one step?
Sure.
Okay. So from the very beginning, when a homeowner with a credit score greater than 680 and a debt ratio less than 50%, right?
Okay. Now this is all over your website. Is this just your requirement?
It's if you're going to finance, because if you're going to make a huge purchase, you're either going to pay cash, right, or you're going to finance.
Okay. Well, why don't we just start here with the money part of this deal?
Okay.
All right. So these things are not cheap.
No, they're not.
They're not cheap.
And they have incentives that are on the back end. So you have to make the initial purchase up front, and then you have money comes back to you through incentive programs. All right.
How long does it take? My deal with solar has always been, everybody loves the idea of solar, free energy.
Yes.
That ain't quite so free, of course, because you got to buy it.
It is.
What's the payback? Let's say I've got a 3,000 foot home and I'm getting, 17, how much? And I want a typical home in North Texas.
Right. So just a year ago, my average sale for a 3,000 square foot home was between 35 and 40,000. Today, we're closer to around $29,000 for the same equipment.
Is that based on what your clients telling you they want to cover? Because this is all about how much power they're telling you they want to.
So every home is different. So it all depends on how you consume power. For example,
I want to run my air conditioning. I had a guy that I talked to. Now we were talking about a generator, but I'm sure you have the same conversation.
Sure.
I don't want to know that there was a surge I don't want to know there was a change. I don't want to know the power went off. I just want it to, that's what he was telling me with his generator.
Right.
He was doing it because he lived in an old neighborhood and the power would go. They'd have little blackouts. I don't even want to know what ever happened, man.
Right. Well, see, what's amazing, here's what's amazing about that part. Now, we kind of, that's kind of a rabbit trail, but the PUC covers that. The Public Utility Commission will put $2,000 fines on your power company if you have that condition. You do not need an emergency generator unless you live in Galveston in the state of Texas.
Really?
If you have power quality issues, absolutely. The grid is regulated by the Public Utility Commission. Just Google it. Absolutely.
Well, you may not think you need it, but if you're watching college football,
right, exactly, and I get that. Right, I get that.
Right.
And we've installed emergency generators, we've installed battery systems, for the people that just do not want to have that experience, or let's say there's a tornado in the area and some power lines down. They don't want to go to be inconvenienced by going to a hotel.
Sure.
They want to stay inconvenienced in their own home. So absolutely.
Okay.
That is definitely a certain
type. My point with that is that when you're talking to somebody and they're trying to decide the investment that they want to make, a lot of this is centered on you're going to say to them, well, how much power do you want?
Yes.
Because this is all based on how many panels I'm going to put on your roof.
Yes.
Right?
So yes, and so what we ask for is 12 months of electrical usage. How many kilowatt hours did you consume January through December? And through that, depending on how your power company buys it back, we're able to size your system that maximizes your return on investment and your rate of return. Now, it doesn't matter if I do 20% of your electric bill or if I do 100%, or 80 or 80.
So is this whole thing about they're just selling back to the power company?
They are.
Yeah. So this isn't about just I'm putting electricity into my house.
No.
I'm putting electricity back into the grid.
This is exactly right, and it's a high yielding. Here's
now that is huge.
This is what
huge.
That's what people miss. This is what they miss about solar. You're taking the power company's investment in a power plant and you're owning that for yourself. That's your investment. So let's say you're 50 years old and you're planning for retirement, right, for a fixed income, right? You're looking at the future. And you're looking for investing in the stock market, and you're looking at conservative, and risky investments and the rate of return on what you can get on your money, right? Well, when you invest in the stock market, that in money, if you have 50,000, 30,000, even 10,000, however much money you are able to muster up and save out of your income and put towards your retirement is at risk. You can lose the whole thing.
Right.
With solar, you have no risk, zero, because you will have a electric bill for as long as you're alive.
Right.
That money's coming out of your pocket every month. So I just did a project for a lady in Mesquite, and we're running through the numbers. And she's alone, and she's 65 years old. She's still working as a nurse, and she's planning on that retirement, right? And her incentive after her federal incentive, her net investment for her home was right around, I think it was like $19,000. $19,000. That's her net cost. Now, she had to pay a little bit more. She had to pay up front for that incentive, but it's going to come back to her when she files her taxes, right? So, but her net incentive is only $18,000. Her home value went up equal to the total investment of the project. Then suddenly she was given equity. I mean, where can you put an extra room on a house and have the federal government write you a check for that, right?
Right.
So now here you have equity in this federal incentive. Now you're producing your electricity. So that's the real estate side of it. Now let's talk about electricity. I'm producing 1,700 kilowatt hours per month, and I'm spinning our meter backwards. So now that is paying her $165 a month for the next 30 years, $18,000.
And so when she looks at her electric bill,
which is zero now,
it's zero.
That's
so
right.
She essentially doesn't have an electric bill.
She's not writing a check for $165. It just went away. So for $18,000, right after her incentive, her $18,000 investment is paying her $165 a month. That's an annualized average, so it changes from month to month. But it's the best investment in the world, hands down. You're looking at maybe a minimum 12 to 18% rate of return, a return on investment of somewhere, depending on how you run your numbers. There's people look at things differently,
right? Sure.
But you're looking at maybe 6 to 8 years.
So if the power grid energy goes up, she's sweet. She's looking sweet.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now we've decided we love this deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're going for it.
Yes.
So step two.
All right. Qualify the contractor, right? So now you've really evaluated solar. What is it? How does it make sense to me, right? It's an economic investment is what it is, right?
Okay.
Real estate and retirement savings. Okay, so now let's look at the contractors. And like I said, 60% of my market are not operating with a license. 60%. And so
60% of these people are not licensed?
Absolutely correct. It's amazing.
That's scary.
It's amazing to me.
How do they get away with it?
Well, I could talk about the Texas Department of Licensing. I went to their strategic planning this year, the meeting this year, and it was just, it's amazing. I filed 30 complaints a month when I first got started, and it was just, they're not qualified. It's ran by the Texas Department of Licensing, and I'm going to be brave and say this from my assessment. The investigators are not qualified. Okay, they don't follow through, and they want to close their cases.
But my position as a homeowner,
you're in big trouble in Texas.
I'm in trouble if I hire the wrong installer. We're talking about the installers.
Yes.
And so, what do I ask that? What am I looking for? Because I want a licensed person.
You want somebody that one is from Texas, right? That has been an electrical contractor in the state of Texas, that has installed solar panels, has been involved in solar training, and has a track record. What you don't want is somebody that you found on Google that had a great looking website that's from Louisiana or from California. You have to stay away from state lines, because what are you going to do? And it happens every time I get phone calls. People made purchases online and then canceled and got sued by an out-of-state contractor, and they have to go to that state to defend themselves. Why would anybody do that?
Right.
I don't understand why anybody would do that.
What type of things are you finding that they've done wrong? I mean, what kind of things are they screwing up?
Well, start with, if they're on Google, right, and they're from out of state, they don't have a license.
Right.
They have nothing to lose. Right.
So it doesn't really, they don't have any incentive to do it right.
Correct. And then they're out of state. They can't even there's no quality control. They're not here watching construction employees. And I can define construction employees with like an entire book and novel, what that looks like. So you have to have on-site management, and you have to have people who understand what that worker is supposed to be doing. And because we're no longer in a pioneer market. We have actually, in the last 2 years, developed a solar market. We are now in a market, okay? But even in my market, I don't have enough developed resources, trained, qualified resources that can work independently. They have to be supervised. If I was in California, I wouldn't be saying these things because they've been doing it for a long time. But Texas requires a great deal of supervision.
Well, look, it's the Wild Wild West out here in construction.
It is. You know this very well.
Sure. And so I've decided. Let's say I found the right person. I feel good with them. They're licensed. They're local. Step three.
Okay. So you evaluated the product. You evaluated your installer. Okay. Now you are getting a design on your roof, right? We're going to figure out what the capacity of the roof is.
We've got to check and make sure the roof can actually hold the thing up.
Well, the panels aren't very heavy. So it's like 2 pounds per square foot. It passes every city inspection. So it's not really a capacity issue. If it was built in some city, didn't have good codes and those sort of things, but we have to take pictures of the rafters for engineers. 99% of the time we don't have a support issue. Okay. It's not usually weight or distribution, anything like that. But what it is capacity. So I have to look at the condition of your roof. Preferably I like to go on a south facing roof. Okay. Because I get the full rotation of the sun, east to west. And my annual average sun hours is around 5.3 sun hours here in Central Texas. Out in West Texas, it's 6 hours. So you get a lot more energy production out there. But so we calculate the number of panels we need based on the sun hours, and then what exposure we're on. Are we on the east side? That's about 11% less power I can collect. Are we on the west side? It's about 12% less power in the east, 12%.
So we evaluate where we're going to get the most value for where we put them, where we're going to get the most sun.
Well, I have my targets. We went through your electric bills and we said, you know what, we need to produce 1,700 kilowatt hours a month on average. Now, based on this roof, where can I put them? How many panels do I need to hit that target? Okay. So we do our design. Okay. Then we get through design. Then we finalize your actual proposal, right? And we look at your electrical panel. We look at we connect to your internet so you can see all this cool data, how much power we're producing.
Charts and graphs.
And
squiggly lines.
You can see what every panel's doing, So it's really cool technology. You can show it to your friends and stuff. And so once we finish our design, then we go into a contract signing. Okay. And then during the contract, we talk about what your estimated, what you can expect from month to month, and then compare that to your utility bills. And we talk about your electric company and the providers that you can change. Now, if you're retail, you have to change your contract. Okay? And like I said, there's like 3 or 4 companies that you can choose that will buy all of your power back, and some of them will even write you a check at the end of the year if you've overproduced.
Wow.
Yeah, very few.
But we're not. We're in house. So so now we've decided we can put it on, but you've got to go to the panel and you have to add a device right there to the panel to convert this over.
Correct. So there's 2 different types of systems out there. There's AC coupled and DC coupled. Okay. The DC coupled requires an inverter. Okay, an inverter. And we normally install that next to the meter or next to the electrical panel. And then we take the DC power we're capturing off your roof and we convert it to AC power. We dump it right into your electrical panel on the AC bus with a double pole breakers. We're hitting both sides of the 120s for a total of 240. And now that power then goes and either back feeds into loads. It goes to the point of least resistance. Okay. And so it's going to feed a dishwasher, whatever's running, or it's going to spin your meter backwards for credit. You're going to use that knowledge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's a cool thing.
It is.
Really. I mean, you're just kind of turning into your own little power plant.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Every time you see the electric company truck drive by, you just kind of like thumb your nose at them.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it. It makes you feel like a rebel.
I have a lot of rebels actually.
You're just like
an
energy rebel.
Right.
A rebel dude. I like that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more solar installation with Charles Crumpley with Aztec Renewable Energy. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more. So what does a garage door do besides enhance your home, protect your family, and secure your vehicles? Well, when you contact the pros at Windsor Door, you'll learn how a truly high-quality garage door company can make a difference. Insulated doors, carriage-style doors, steel and custom wood, Windsor Door has them all and much, much more. And nothing makes a garage door work better than a high-quality opener. That's why the folks at Windsor Door only use LiftMaster garage door openers. And it's no wonder LiftMaster is the #1 professionally installed garage door opener. Only LiftMaster has patented MyQ technology, which alerts you if you forget to close your garage door and lets you close it from anywhere, anytime with built-in Wi-Fi technology. It also has battery backup, so you can get in even when the power's out. So contact a Windsor Door dealer near you at windsordor.com.
1160 AM, KBDT proudly presents this historic salute to Grapevine, Texas. Brought to you by Grapevine Power Sports. In 1889, the J.E. Faust store opens on Main Street. It's now Grapevine's oldest remaining brick building. Eggs sell for 10 cents per dozen. Butter is 20 cents per pound. And chickens are $2.50 a dozen.
I'm Aaron McWhorter with Grapevine Power Sports. When I bought the dealership, I came in to buy a four-wheeler. They were a freestanding Kawasaki dealership. And I said, Dennis, I don't mean to pry. Are you interested in selling this place? And he said, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but we're fixing to put it on the market. And I said, Dennis, I'll take it. In the last 3 years, we've done 60% increase. The mayor's a customer of mine. The city manager is a customer of mine. A lot of friends that live here still. The small town feel right in the middle of the big metroplex.
Grapevine, Texas, a world festival and event city. Find out more about Grapevine by going to www.grapevinetexas.gov. Step back in time. Visit historic Grapevine, Texas today.
When I say Italy, what comes to mind?
Venice. Capri. Oh my gosh, Capri was marvelous.
The views, the cliffside views, or traveling to Sorrento. Pirello tours.
Oh, Pirello tours, for sure. Pirello.
Hi, I'm Steve Pirillo of Pirillo Tours. With over 70 years of tour experience to Italy, it's no wonder Pirillo Tours is synonymous with travel to Italy.
I think of the culture and to walk up to certain areas and touch a wall and think, well, this wall's like 3,000 years old.
Being on a Pirillo tour on our anniversary was better than anything I can remember ever on an anniversary.
I personally approve every itinerary to ensure a stress-free, once-in-a-lifetime vacation.
Salute! Call now for your free insider's guide to Pirillo's Italy. Call in the next 30 minutes and qualify for a $100 gift card when you travel with us. Call 800-547-6018. 800-547-6018. 800-547-6018.
Welcome back to Your Home with Alex Guthrie. We're going to be finishing up here. What a great show. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. So we kind of got all hooked up. We've been talking about installing a solar panel system. We kind of got all hooked up and everything. And the one thing I've seen at some of the home shows, and I went to another builder show recently, and I saw the Tesla storage battery system.
Yeah.
Now, would you put a battery system on a? Well, you don't really need one, do you?
No. Well, a battery system. If you're looking for emergency power, right? That's a generator, and you can run your whole house with an emergency generator. A Tesla battery is in pieces, so normally like 14 kilowatt hours per battery. They call it the Tesla wall. Right.
I saw that. It was very cool.
The Tesla wall.
Very
well,
cool.
how many? Who wants to have a whole wall of batteries?
Right.
So I think we're probably 2 years away from finding the real winners on home energy storage. The technology keeps advancing. It keeps moving forward.
But that would be something that in the right circumstances could take you off the grid if you wanted to be off the grid. If you not in a house in North Dallas.
Yeah.
But if you're at the deer lease.
Yeah. Big misconceptions about batteries today, okay? A lot of it has to do with the manufacturers bringing these batteries to market. You're not going off grid,
Really?
Okay. Yes. No. You are getting emergency power.
Okay.
Okay. So a battery requires a charge controller. A charge controller, in order to properly charge your battery, for it to get fully charged and last 20 years, requires grid power, not trickle solar energy.
Oh.
It requires grid power. Okay. The Tesla car, for example, they plug into your wall with using grid power to charge the car. Your battery in your car, for example, to start your gasoline engine. If you look at that thing, it's like, I don't know, maybe 18 inches, long.
Big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, only 10% of that battery is all you need to start your car. The rest of that battery is there for energy losses from temperatures dropping at night.
Huh.
Remember, your cold winter, your battery goes dead?
Yeah.
Right. So, but a Tesla car never.
So the reason it's so big is for the power loss from drainage.
Yes. From temperature, just outdoor air temperature,
Really?
consuming your power.
Wow.
Okay?
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So here we are putting all of our energy, our money, and we're getting off of the grid into batteries. It's losing it.
Huh.
Okay. Now this has been improved. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still a condition. So if you plug a car or a golf cart into an electrical outlet, it's going to charge all night. You're not going to know, how much of it was given up through temperature. You're going to find a charged battery when you wake up in the morning because the charge controller is monitoring that. So we have a few things we got to overcome, with battery technology.
So what's the next new juicy thing coming out of this technology?
I think I think we're definitely going to have a lithium industry. I think we're going to have lithium batteries. I think that we need to make that change in our homes, to get away from those AC motors, go to DC. And I think when we do those two things, we're going to be able to go off grid. Okay. The guys who own the grid are not going to like that. But I think we're possibly, if we had federal, state, and federal and state incentives, I think we can get there. We have the technology. We're not waiting on technology. We're waiting on market. Okay. That's all we're waiting on. It's market.
So tell folks how to get in touch with you. And first of all, I really enjoyed having you here. This has been a really fun show. You're a great guest, and you're very knowledgeable, and it's really been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you making the trip down here today and coming on the air with me. And tell folks how to get in touch with you and get a solar system from probably the most knowledgeable guy I've ever talked to about it.
Well, Alex, thanks for inviting me. It's the first time I've been back on the radio since I introduced renewables years ago. The pioneer industry market was just, it killed me. But now that we're into a real market, I felt safe to get on the radio, and I would find actual real good buyers, for solar. So I appreciate you inviting me out today. You can reach me. You look me up at aztecwindsolarpower.com, aztecwindsolarpower.com. You can type in Aztec Renewable Energy, find us as well. I don't sell wind. I used to years ago when I discovered it wasn't that viable for residential. So I specifically sell solar power, and my goal is to take all my homeowners, and I prefer homes, to zero and give them really good investments.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for everybody listening and showing up on Facebook Live, joining us on Facebook Live. It's been a really fun show. We've had a great audience today. And thank you, Mr. J.D. Wells, and thank you to my crack research team, Mrs. Guthrie. Be kind to each other, folks. The world is tough enough. We need to be nice to each other. Show a stranger some love. Next week, we have the grout doctor. The doctor will be in the house. We're going to talk about dirty grout.
Well, there he goes again, Alex. I like this guy.
Say that again. What was that?
I am grout.
I am grout. Oh man, you're scary.
I'm waiting to get hit by a grout.
Until then, check us out at www.yourhomeshow.net. Check us out at Your Home with Alex Guthrie on Facebook Live. Send us a message. Tell us you love us. Tell us we look great. Tell us we're pretty. Tell us something. It's been a great show. This is Alex Guthrie signing off Have a great week, folks.